Hello, everyone. Before we get to today's podcast, we have a huge announcement.
Huge.
Part of the, this is a Canadian Disc Golf Tour announcement. The third stop on the tour is the Big Bear Classic, the 23rd Big Bear Classic.
Boom.
Registration was open for sponsors, but they filled that up already. So definitely mark March 18th at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, because that is when general registration opens. It's currently open for women's and juniors and other underserved divisions. So March 18th, general registration. You're going to want to register for that, especially if you're MPO, FPO, because those are the ones that count towards points for the series.
And because that tournament fills up fast.
Real fast.
Maybe one of the fastest in the country. You got like 6 minutes tops, and that's like still some divisions will be full.
It is in the Rocky Mountains. What more needs to be said? And it is the third stop on the Canadian Disc Golf Tour. You're going to be earning points towards that tour placement, and you're going to be doing it at the most beautiful place, the Alberta Rocky Mountains.
That's true. And you'll be putting on the best baskets, DiscGolfPark baskets. Now, on to the episode.
Hello, everyone. You're listening to Northern Flights, a Park Pro podcast keeping you up to date with the people, tournaments, and culture of disc golf in Canada and beyond. Consider becoming a patron today at patreon.com/parkpro. Find us on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Disc Golf Park. And now your hosts, Andre, Jesse, and Matt.
Guess who's back? Back again. Jesse's back.
With a stash.
Yeah. How's a way growing a mustache?
If you're listening to this podcast on Spotify or Apple, definitely go to YouTube. Check out this mustache. It's coming in.
I'm trying so hard.
You're going to have a segment that's just mustache update. And it's just going to be a picture of your mustache every week.
Can you get closer to the camera for anybody to even see it right now? Yeah. But I'm trying hard.
We'll set up a B camera and it's just going to be pointed at your face.
Yeah,
and that's just going to be
nose to upper lip. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, guys. Welcome.
Now. It is a real mustache now.
I'm a big kid now. No.
Yeah. Less peach fuzz. That's great. Thank you so much for listening to Northern Flights. We got a great episode for you. Some awesome action happened this week in disc golf. Waco was great. I thought it was one of my favorite tournaments. So a lot of exciting stuff happened. And then so that including Kristen's back. Ella's so close. We'll get into that. And it's tight at the top in the MPO for Waco. Is there such thing as a podcast bump? We'll get into that as well. That's all in the Waco review. We are also going to talk about the Open at Austin. Is that what it's called? Open at Austin. Preview of that. It's not a lot is known about this. We got a little insider information from our friend Max. So we can touch on that a little bit. It's going to be a great episode. And we have a little bit of a discussion later. So stay tuned for that. But first, how you guys doing? How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing all right. Yeah.
You're here.
I'm here. Yeah, we're gonna leave it at that.
Alive.
Yeah.
You get those car problems fixed up, Jesse?
No, I wasn't gonna tell everybody that.
I just said car problems.
You had car problems.
Yeah, get out of here. Okay, now I'm telling everybody that. Last Wednesday, I almost died. I flipped my truck off a 30-foot cliff, landed upside down. All the airbags, the whole 9 yards, broken glass everywhere. Really lucky to be alive. Sale. And actually, funny enough, I didn't mention it, but Brett Hanna, who I know listens to the podcast, was messaging me on Instagram, and we were having like the most casual conversation, half disc golf, half computer game, whatever. And I was literally getting like chest X-rayed at the same time. I didn't mention any of it. I was just so bored. 5 hours in the hospital, texting everybody, killing time.
That's funny.
But yeah, I'm happy and healthy. Happy to be here in more way than one. But Other than that, I got some therapy disc golf in with my boy Andre here on
That's
Sunday.
right.
We went, was it Sunday or Saturday?
I think we went Sunday.
I think it was Sunday. Yeah. Played a little bit at the little course in Radium. Tried some new plastic. Cried about my putting. So some new things, some old things. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Cool.
any of the new Discmania molds get into your hands yet?
Yeah, I
After
got
the
some
FD?
stuff. I got the FD1 kicking around, which some people probably don't know about unless they're really paying attention to like the PDJ approvals and stuff. I'm not sure how much I can say about it because it's still not officially released, but yeah, it's kind of the same flight numbers as the old FD2, but the shape of the disc itself is very, very different. It's more like a lower glide T-bird, feels like a T-bird in the hand, but just with more dependable kind of stability on it in the C-line ones. So I'm liking that. It's a nice complement to the FD. The more recent FDs are straight. The S-line's straight to understable and to potentially quite understable, depending on what color you get and stuff like that. Where this boy wants to fight out of a flex and without being so overstable that it's like a utility overstable disc. So yeah, really happy to see that in the lineup, and I'm excited to throw it a bunch more. A couple of those guys, and just some of the newer releases too, like the Paradigms and stuff like that are hitting my bag. Still lots of learning to do and like figuring stuff out, but starting to settle into pretty confident what my initial bag will be anyway when I start the season.
Well, we still have a lot of snow on the ground too, so that definitely affects, you can't get a real accurate read on how you're throwing these things at full power with the proper footing. So
Yeah, and even like my popular fieldwork spots that are melted off are like that soggy, gross, you don't
Yeah.
even want to be out there. So
Yeah.
I've got like 2 concrete pads in front of my basement door that are about the size of a tee pad, and I've got a throwing net that I set up there today. So
perfect.
throwing into the net, trying to get my sidearm snap going, get my back figured out a little bit because I've been stiff. Even that little radium round, just sore, not in throwing shape yet.
Mm-hmm.
So trying to get ready because our season starts like 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yeah,
And
10
then
days, something like that.
I was gonna say it did not, when I was playing with you, it did not look like you were just in an accident. So
Yeah,
it just looked like you were a guy coming off the winter, right?
I got
Shaking off some
I
moss.
got real lucky.
No, that's great. Speaking of that round, I've had elbow issues, and it felt pretty good throwing. So, and I went to the physio, I think a couple days afterwards, and I kind of told her and I showed her the motion. She's like, "Oh yeah, you should be should be good to go in a couple months for that kind of a motion." So
Oh, nice.
that's exciting.
Yeah, you weren't showing like you're in any pain or anything like that.
Well, I just kind of I was taking it pretty
Yeah.
easy and actually throwing better because of it, because it slowed down my arm and I didn't quite get that full extension at the end and do silly stuff with my
No
arm
chance
at
to
the
grip lock if you're letting
end.
go early.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was nice. And how you doing, Matt? Did you play disc golf?
I did play disc golf. It was beautiful out here last weekend. I shot a 7 down at Rundle Park. Yeah.
Buddy.
Not bad, not
Feeling
bad.
good. And we were talking about it offline, but I picked up one of those Paradigms. Oh man, not sponsored. Hashtag not sponsored.
Yeah.
I'm not sponsored. But that Paradigm goes far and it pushes straight.
Yeah.
It's a bomber of a disc.
I'm excited for that one because I feel like that's what they wanted the Enigma to be for anyone that's thrown those. Enigma's pretty shallow, where this feels a good bit deeper, and you feel like you can get a really good hold on it, and it does that like soft flip up and push right out of the box. Yeah,
Yep.
It's a nice one.
Cool.
So yeah, been enjoying that.
Yeah. And just to clarify, DiscGolfPark is our sponsor, not Discmania, technically. So there you go. All right, cool. Well, you guys want to get into Waco? Feel like we got a lot to talk about. I don't know. I feel like this one was super eventful for me. I watched a good portion of the action. If you haven't checked it out, go watch the post-produce. But if you are a post-produce watcher, start thinking about getting live disc golf, because that was insane. It was such a good third round. Really awesome to watch live. And Kristen's back. She's officially back. She came back. She won her first
Turns
event.
out, yeah,
Yeah,
didn't
she went.
lose
She
much
came,
of a step.
She came out real hot in the first round and then had a mediocre second round, and it looked like she was going to take it away after the first. Like, no one was even close. And then, Ella crawled her way back into contention like she did kind of back at Las Vegas in the third round. And but unfortunately didn't quite get to the finish line, and Kristen took it down with a pretty clutch putt on hole 18. So yeah, anything on that?
Yeah, I think it was Ella's tournament to lose, and unfortunately she did just that. I think she ended 4 bogeys in a row. Can't think of a time where she's been in like a comfortable lead on the Pro Tour. So like maybe just the nerves getting to her and, not being able to get back into focus. Great tournament from her, other than those last 4 holes, obviously. And then, yeah, Kristen knocking down that putt to guarantee her win, sealing the deal. I think my biggest takeaway from Ella's stuff is if you pay attention to her socials at all, the other FPO girls supporting her after she lost, that's a pretty cool thing about the community they've got on the tour and like the larger disc golf community as a whole. So, yeah, it's a nice.
It was the whole range of emotions. It was, triumph, tragedy, drama on the final hole, a lake to throw over, not to throw over, missing a putt from just near circle's edge, making a putt from near circle's edge. It had that's everything you want in a disc golf tournament. It was
absolutely.
Great. And then on the MPO side, it was like there was 2 cards going at it in real time.
Yeah, the MPO, believe it or not, I was taking stock of my life in a different way than watching disc golf after my little accident there. But what I did catch was, at some point there's like 2, almost 3 full cards that are in contention coming to that last round. Cole Radallen having a great showing, leading for quite a while. The Adam Ham's ace was huge. After being pretty much out of it too, like he had such a slow start. And I was like, well, that's too bad. Hamas choked another one. And then like 2 or 3 holes later, he was right back at the top. You're like, whoa, uh-oh. Yeah, absolute jets. One thing I noticed from paying attention to it is there was tons of birdies from everybody. Looking at Cole's round specifically, he was birdieing the most, but the holes he didn't birdie, he was bogeying instead of taking pars. And I think that was the decider for his win versus Kyle's.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously Kyle Klein takes it down. Shout out to Kyle Klein. I know he's listening right now.
Absolutely.
So
what's up, Kyle? Great job.
Yep. Good job. If you ever want to come on the podcast, hit us up. But I mean, you don't have to if you don't want to. We're fine with that.
He said maybe next time, I think, when I talked to him.
Oh, good.
Well, I talked to him off the mic, off camera.
Right. Good. Yeah. Good to know. No, it was fantastic. Jesse and I, like Jesse mentioned, we were out playing disc golf during the final round, but we did catch the end of it. I think it caught the last 4 or 5 holes after our round, and just in time to see the exciting finish. It was one of those ones where it looked like the whole time it was going to go to a playoff, and then it didn't go to a playoff. And a big part of that is, like watching Adam Hammes on hole 17 was, heartbreaking a little bit, but for him. But yeah, exciting disc golf this past weekend. One of the things I did notice that when I was watching the final round, and we kind of briefly touched on this in our little fantasy WhatsApp group, is that there seemed to be a little bit of a buffering and dropped internet again. It happened a little bit at Las Vegas. It happened this weekend. This is something that they got to figure out, because, that's like a lot of people are tuning in to watch this, and it might be enough to convince people not to get a subscription,
Do you think it's because more people are tuning in for those final few holes when everyone's getting the text and they can't handle the traffic, or...
100%. I think that's what it is. It's tight at the top. People want to watch the last couple of holes. They all sign in, and it just overwhelms whatever servers. I don't know the tech talk for technology behind that, but I believe they're using the Vimeo back end, and I think it was just too much for them to handle. So it's just kind of, it's tough. So I don't think it's on Disc Golf Network, but I kind of opened this episode by saying, you have to, like, it'd be wise to get Disc Golf Network, But at the same time, if this stuff keeps happening, like how do you convince people that this is worth it?
Well, I think it'll only get better with time, right? This is the second full year of Disc Golf Network? Or are we in the third full year of Disc Golf Network?
Third or fourth even.
I
I feel like
yeah,
it's
I
been
think
a
it's
while.
Oh boy.
It's been like the second of like they upped their game quite a bit last year, and this is kind of like I think they're I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think we're seeing like year over year improvements, and like the earliest Disc Golf Network coverage I watched, when they like hired a janky camera crew that had done other sports, not
Mhm.
disc golf and everything. From that moment to here, we're 10 times better. And I think if they keep on that trajectory, we'll be fine in no time. But yeah, it's really frustrating, especially for Waco. Like
Yes.
that tournament, I think, is the biggest case for live disc golf or like multi-card coverage, right? Because if you want to
Mhm.
have the whole story of how that final round played out,
Mhm.
you're watching the Jomis coverage, the Gatekeeper coverage. Can't remember who's doing third card, but you kind of need to see it all to know the totality of what was happening. You almost, like in real, to have the best experience, you need to watch hole 1 from every card, then start the loop again, watch hole 2 from every card, so you can see how the leaderboard is moving and what moment changed it for whoever. And if we're having more disc golf that is that competitive at the top, and I think with the way the talent is going right now and the type of courses that they're being played, it's time to figure it out.
Yeah.
I was surprised. I thought for sure it was an issue of, and they've had this issue before, of people on the property, on the premises, using their cell phones and getting in the way of the like cell communications internally before it gets to the server. But apparently it was on the Vimeo side, and Vimeo is sending an engineer or dedicating an engineer just to making sure this weekend goes smoothly for them.
Wow.
So it's, I mean, to me, if Vimeo can't handle, I can't even imagine 10,000, 20,000, 30,000, how many people would be watching? Like, I think they have tens of thousands of subscribers, but how many of those people are actually watching at the same time? If Vimeo can't handle that, like we've talked about it before, but you know, that's not a feasible long-term situation for them. They gotta, if you want a sport that's, you know, viewed with 50,000, 100,000 people live, you're gonna have to have the infrastructure ready for that now.
Well,
So-
yeah. By the time they roll up on Worlds or USDGC, when the like peak subscriber count is watching, it's going to be, I don't know.
And you know, last year they did the last round was free on YouTube, and maybe that's something that they just go back to that until they can get this figured out. But I don't know if it keeps happening, they gotta sort something out.
It's tough because I'm sure they swapped to first round coverage for free because final round coverage is the most monetizable.
100%.
They did all the onboarding of new subscribers last year by giving them the final rounds, showing them all the excitement, and now you got to pay to play.
I think they should have gone with moving day. Get people like psyched up just before the final round
into the setup. Yeah.
But
yeah,
anyway.
I could see that.
Yeah,
it's a debate for another time.
It was gripping. It was gripping disc golf. It was super fun to watch live.
Yeah, definitely.
We can't stop talking about Waco before I mentioned that Jarrett stole Thumber.
Insane.
On 17.
Yeah.
Apparently other guys are doing it. For people that didn't see the clip, he throws over the trees, over the OB on a very much 2-shot par 4 and puts it to like 20 feet. Like tapping eagle. Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw his own comment that he missed the 20-foot putt for eagle.
He missed it.
But even just guaranteeing like a freebie birdie, because to throw OB into the water long, that's like a seriously long throw where I don't think you just snap your fingers and throw on another 30 feet of Thumber distance.
Yeah.
And can we also maybe mention fellow host of the show, Max Regidnig?
Well, that's what I wanted to get into. Guys, is there such thing as a podcast bump? Because Max got an ace.
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't play very well overall on the weekend, but he got an ace.
Yeah. Same one that Hamas got. And I believe the same line. So if you see Adams throw, just change the disc out of the hand to a tactic, and that was Max. And Max did it first.
And then obviously Kyle Klein
winning too.
Yeah.
And a well-known listener of the podcast. I think he's very public about his his listening of the podcast just in person only. Like he
Mhm.
doesn't do it on any of the socials or
Yeah, of
anything.
course.
So
Yeah. You expect to get paid for that kind of
yeah,
sponsorship.
exactly. But he's all
Avid
word of
listener.
mouth. So that's what I've heard. Anyways.
I totally believe it. And, fellow professionals, reach out to us. It doesn't just have to be Kyle. Reach out to us. Get on the show. Get your
Tell us
ace.
you listen.
Yeah.
Yep.
We'll mention it.
I will say, I don't want to take away from the podcast, but we were sort of mentioning 2018 Canadian Nationals. I went up to Chandler Fry on the third hole and asked him to caddy for him. He said, no, thank you. I like to carry my own bag. And I said, well, no problem. Good luck out there. And then he got an ace a few holes later. And then Waco, I wish Max a good luck at Waco. And a few holes later, he gets an ace. So I'm not like, I don't want to, discount the podcast bump here, Andre. But maybe it could just be a Matt wishing you good luck bump. You never
That's
know.
true. That
You're like
is
the
true.
big germ of podcasting.
I'm the big
Yeah.
germ of podcasting.
Cool. Makes sense. I think the math checks out. So
The mat checks out.
yeah, the math checks out. All right. We're going to take a minute to thank our sponsor of today's episode and all of our episodes, DiscGolfPark. DiscGolfPark is a unique disc golf course concept developed in Finland back in 2005. It is based on the idea of building sports facilities in an environmentally friendly way. Disc Golf Park provides great experiences for players of all skill levels, from beginners to professionals. Our main ideology is to introduce disc golf to new audiences. There are a number of options to suit any kind of course, and all official disc golf parks include professional and safe course design, Disc Golf Park Pro targets, tee pads, and tee signs, as well as an info board to welcome players to your course. The Disc Golf Park World concept consists of multiple courses designed for different types of players. Multi-golf is a new, fun activity for the whole family. In multi-golf, 3 forms of golf are played: foot golf, disc golf, and park-style pitch and putt. School Disc Golf Park offers students a new and interesting form of exercise for physical education classes. A course suitable for schools can be designed even on a small area, for instance, a schoolyard. Furthermore, the costs of school disc golf park are lower than those of regular disc golf parks. We also offer private and group lessons or clinics. For more information, check out the website at discgolfpark.com and request a quote today.
DiscGolfPark.com. Jesse, did you listen to our episode last week? While you were gone, we interviewed Brett Wells and Chris Hartman about the college disc golf scene in Canada.
I want to say I got
Yeah,
like 30
just say yes. I'm not going to quiz you on it.
I'm going to
Come
give
on.
you the honest answer. I got like 35, 45 minutes into it kind of thing.
Just busy guy.
And then I
Busy
got
guy.
called
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, busy guy.
I had to watch The Last of Us finale and The Mandalorian, and that's my fun
Priorities.
time. I gave you the same amount of time as I gave my TV shows.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Good.
No, it was a good interview. But before we get on to that, I was going to say, with regards to the Disc Golf Park school thing, this isn't a Disc Golf Park initiative, but if you are connected to a public school somewhere in Western Canada, I will send you a class set of discs for free. Give me a shout.
What?
Any platform. Yeah, you need 30 discs. Just give me a holler. They're yours.
Wow.
I will say that please try and keep it to public schools and things like that. If you've got a privately funded school, ask your donors. If you got a publicly funded school, I know how hard it is to get stuff. My brother's a teacher. I know how the budgeting works, and it's tough. Give me a shout. There'll be 30 discs headed your way in no time.
All
Hell
right.
yeah.
There you go. You can find his Instagram handle on our YouTube channel. It says it on the screen at jesse.tumulty.
Or you can email us at info@parkedpro.com.
And they can
True
forward it
fact.
to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. That's
Hey, yeah.
exciting. Have you had anyone ask you for this? Any schools? I know you talked about it a little bit last year.
Yeah, so right now we're talking about the local schools here. I'm probably going to donate some baskets to the middle school on top of discs like that, of my own baskets. Unfortunately, I only have so many, and so many I'm willing to get rid of. I do know the athletic director for the school in Golden as well, so I'm going to talk to him. I know Cranbrook's already very well served. They've got baskets on the property at their middle school. And then just trying to reach out to, schools that need it, trying to grow the sport. I haven't advertised it really, just, people I know that are involved with school systems and things. Because you can kind of guarantee they're going to use them if they're already interested in disc golf.
Mm-hmm.
Where I hate for these, it's not free to me anyway. And so I don't want these types of things to just sit on the shelf because people say free thing. So if it's someone listening to the podcast, you can kind of guarantee that they're connected to disc golf in a way that they would guarantee that it gets used and implemented. And I'm happy to support anyone trying to grow the sport in that capacity.
Well, and it's also a nice thing because, on the last episode, and maybe this is what Matt was kind of alluding to earlier, we mentioned that, there's a lot of disc golf courses popping up on college campuses and stuff like that. And, this is maybe not your sort of directing your attention towards, elementary schools and high schools kind of thing. But this is possibly a good first step to getting more sort of courses or baskets or some sort of practice area set up on these facilities as well on a more permanent basis. So
absolutely. Yeah, I did listen to that and how Brett is lucky to have Aperture Park course so right lucky. There for practice. They can get people out there where at the Trinity Western, they've got to travel to, I think they said Raptors is the closest, but yeah, anything in the Lower Mainland, Passive Park, what have you. As soon as you have to get college students moving on anywhere, it's like a public transit nightmare.
Yes.
I'd lived that life without a car for a long time. And yeah, to have it on the property there in Lethbridge is such an asset to their program and just to the students in general for recreation.
A lot of time in university, like your whole life is centered around that campus for 4 years. And man, what a difference it would be to have a nice disc golf course on campus.
Yeah, we didn't. That's the reason I quit disc golf for like half a decade, is that I moved to Kingston, Ontario, that had no disc golf course. The nearest one was like more than an hour away, and I didn't have a car, which means an hour away is probably impossible for public transit. And if it is, that means it's 4 hours on public transit with 4 transfers and whatever. And yeah, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Big sad.
Yeah.
If you want to hear more about our college disc golf and stuff like that, check out our last episode. It's on YouTube or wherever you get your podcast. So it was a great episode.
Cool.
Probably one of my favorites so far, just as far as just like the, discussion and getting, as far as growing the sport, I feel like it's a important one for people to hear. So
yeah, absolutely. And as like the first time I've had the podcast as a fan and not a part of it, I said it was a great listen. Chris is a very good speaker, and Brett gives you all the information from someone that's right there in it and living it. You couldn't ask for two better guests for that topic.
Yeah. All right.
And speaking of you didn't even mention this part of the podcast bump, Andre. Brett Wells currently winning our fantasy pool.
Is he now? Am I losing now?
First place after 2 weeks. Mini update. Brett Wells in first place. Max is in second place. And then there is a 2-way tie for third place between Jesse and Brad. And the rest of us live in shame.
Yes.
For now. But there's a lot of disc golf left to be played.
I actually was going to introduce a new section of the podcast. I didn't have time to get it set up. But why don't we do an impromptu one? Fantasy Minute. You just heard the update from our personal fantasy league. Who's your pickup this week? If you saw waiver wires after Waco, who's your pickup?
It's tough because I don't know who is registered and available. But from our boots on the ground guy, Max, talking about the course, he said it's very lefty friendly, very forehand friendly. So someone that's got some of those moves. I know like a guy like Chris Clemens, who always finishes at the top, lefty. But he's also known for his sidearm that finishes like a right-hand backhand. So maybe not the guy. Yeah, like a consistent sidearm thrower or someone with a complete game. I know like that hole one isn't quite a sidearm. But yeah, maybe we should wait. So someone that can get the disc to go right.
I just want to say like, and actually, Matt, you can probably take this one, is Anakin Sten. I feel like she did really well last week, and we kind of been chatting about her in our little discussion there. But maybe Matt, you're the better person to talk about this because I believe you picked her up, didn't you?
I just picked her up because I am down a player on my team unexpectedly. So I picked up Anakin Sten as a free agent, and I wasn't going to start her, but then Valerie Mondojano also is out again this week. So I had to throw her in. And I watched her a little bit last week. She does throw hard.
Yeah.
She rips the disc. Yeah. I'm starting to be a bit of a believer.
Did you drop a player or did you use the injury reserve feature?
I dropped Kona Panis.
Oh, no loss. That's fine. But yeah, apparently there is a long-term injured reserve feature
Really?
that I didn't know about, and it locks them for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
But you don't have to drop them.
Interesting.
So keep
That's
that in
good to
mind if
know,
you're playing
though.
skip ace.
Yeah, good to know. We are learning skip base as we go. Jesse played for you. Actually, Matt, I don't know if you played. Did you play last year too?
The last 2 years, I think.
Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
I've been
I'm
doing
the
this
only
since
newbie.
2019.
I'm the only newbie, I guess. I did want to bring up someone's name, and I think it's more of a buy low situation. And this is not just generally talking about Austin. The only reason I'm bringing it up is because she is on my team already, and maybe this is a totally moot point, but this is a time to buy low. If you can trade for Evelina Salonen, I think now is the time because she's at an all-time low. Some people might even be dropping her at this point. And if she can get that putting figured out, if she can get that mental game figured out, I think she's going to be doing real well. And it's not to say don't put her in your lineup, saying pick her up or trade for her, keep her on the bench, because I think that could be a valuable pickup. You're never going to get her lower than she is now. So
Yeah, if you have 2 solid FPO and she can ride the bench until she figures it out, then you could have a top 3, a top 1 FPO player.
Yeah.
Instead of a top 60 or
Yeah.
whatever she's been floating around at these days.
totally. So that's the fantasy minute. Unless you guys got anything else.
I've got one other potential dark horse candidate here, especially for Austin. Austin Turner,
Lefty.
lefty,
Oh,
disappeared from the tour for a couple of years after sort of breaking into that top 20.
Mm-hmm.
His game, he's rated 10-17. He was up close to 10-20 for a bit and rededicating himself back to the tour. So,
Yeah,
and the guy was a solid disc golfer.
You know what? After taking my own advice and some stuff like that, Chandler Kramer, if he's playing, I have him and I think he's benched. I'm not sure if he's playing the event, but forehand dominant, sponsored by a Texas company, so he's probably been down there, used to throwing in Texas.
Mhm.
awesome.
Got lots to think about anyway.
Well, there you go. Let's roll into, speaking of Austin, let's roll into our Austin preview. We kind of touched on a little bit. What do we know about the course? It's a brand new course to the Disc Golf Pro Tour this year. We haven't seen any coverage of it. What do you guys think of the course so far?
I watched like 2 or 3 holes of the practice round on Joe Men's that's out. And the Joe Men's gang like instantly were kind of poo-pooing on the course. Like, this is a bad hole. This is bad. This is bad. Tough sell from them. Like, maybe because that first downhill hole is like such a weird shape to navigate and like you can't really get there, but it's not really a 2-shot hole either. So it's not a separator. It's just kind of weird. I think you'll know when it gets played for real versus like cameras on, need to talk, need to do the stuff. It looks very clean cut. It's very green. There's more trees than I expected when I saw the map of like the ball golf kind of course they have there. And from, again, our boots on the ground guy, Max, said since the day they filmed that practice round, they've done a lot of work on the course, limbing branches, tidying things up, making things, you know, the way they're supposed to be, tournament ready. More boards and things and markers for OBs so you can navigate the holes better visually. I'm going to give it like a 10 out of 7 out of 10. Going to put it at like decent, not the place I'm going, but also not something I'm going to be complaining about from what I've seen so far.
It's just tough when a place doesn't have any history, you know. There is something to be said for recognizing as a viewer too. Obviously, as a player, it helps a lot, and I think it changes your attitude about a place if you played there once or twice or 10 times. But also as a viewer, it's, you know, I think we judge some of the newer courses a little bit more harshly just because we're not as familiar with them and we haven't seen as many great events take place on them. Same like when they come out with a new major, like a Champions Cup last year as a major, and everyone's like, well, this is kind of an underwhelming major, and it's just hasn't been a major on the schedule. So I feel sort of the same way about this course. And if you can have a couple of, real highlight rounds out there this weekend, I think people's opinion of it will probably change going into next year if they keep having it at the same location.
Yeah, and I'm going to cut you off because I want to touch on what Matt said. Similar to that, like you said, without having history there, we'll go to the hole one thing where it doesn't seem like it's got a shape or anything. If that had been played for 10 years, someone's going to figure it out. Like, oh, it's a late flip sidearm, something different. And then you don't have these complaints because you have, years of solving the puzzle behind it.
It, to me, it doesn't not look like exactly the same hole as hole 1 at D-Glow. Thrown down the hill, bending around to the right. Like it looks like almost the exact same shot where your disc, if you're throwing a forehand, has to sort of fight its way back up a hill a little bit to get close to the basket.
It does look similar from what I saw. I think there's some branches in the way, and I think the issue with this one is there's a bunch of OB on the tight side as well. Where at D-Glow, I think it's only deep into the field that's OB.
I think so, yeah.
And then you're just in the trees fighting on the other side. So to, really let one go, you're not just going to throw something super stable on a sidearm and know that you don't go OB on the right. Now you have to be very much placement enough to not take the extra stroke. So it might kind of take you off of going for it. I think.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on a little bit on what Matt said, and I wanted to go back a couple years to when the Preserve first came on tour. It was also one of those courses that kind of, I don't want to say it was bad vibes. I mean, obviously people had a lot of respect for Caleb Iska and what he's been able to create out there. But, back when it was first came on the tour, I don't think it was super well received at the very start. And I think it's simply because of those reasons that we've just talked about, is that it just wasn't played as much and people didn't quite figure it out. And now I think a lot of people love it. And it's kind of a must attend event for a lot of players. So I think it's just going to take a couple of,
I thought the Preserve was well received off year one by players.
Yeah, after, but I'm talking about before.
Oh,
I think before it didn't have the best vibes around it, and didn't have bad vibes. I mean, I don't want to say it's like people were poo-pooing it, but yeah, the poo-pooing the Preserve.
Watch your profanity. It's also harder to make an iconic course and memorable holes on a ball golf course. It's just the terrain isn't quite the same as,
and a potentially temporary course.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Belton was one year. Austin, this might just travel around Texas on whatever venue they can book.
Yeah.
Totally. Matt, how many Canadians do we have in the field?
A grand total of 1.5 Canadians, Andre.
Okay.
That's all. Okay. Not a lot of people travel down for this one from Canada. We've got Thomas, the Tomcat Gilbert, and we've got Max, half Canadian Regitnig, and that is it for the Canadian contingent in MPO and FPO.
I think last year we decided Simon Lazada is also half Canadian.
All right, so then one and two half Canadians.
We just, simplify that to 2, but whatever.
No, you got to say 2 halves.
Yeah,
I think that
would mean 2.
Max is happier being Canadian now that he's been home for a while because he was very much repping Swedish flags everywhere. Where I don't think Simon recognizes it unless he needs to whip that passport out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is true.
2 3/4 then?
Yeah. Something like that.
I think if we asked Max if he's half Canadian, he would say yes. 100%. Probably even more than that. But if we ask Simon if he's half Canadian, he'd probably say, well, maybe.
Yeah.
He says he kind of feels American now too, so that's like it's really watering down.
So 1/3.
Yeah, for every 1% of American you get, you lose 2% Canadian.
Meanwhile, Paul Macbeth still from Huntington Beach.
Yeah,
true. All right, and then Wild Hogs. There's hogs.
Yeah, that's another Max update. So I've been talking a lot. Someone else can take this. I think it's ridiculous.
Why don't you go ahead there, Matt?
There's wild hogs! There's wild hogs! There's wild hogs on the course, and the players apparently got a warning to be careful around the wild hogs in the area because they have, I think, a similar wild hog problem to what we have in Canada, but their wild hogs are more aggressive.
Wild
down
dirt
there. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we have a wild hog problem in Canada.
in Alberta.
Oh yeah, very serious. And across the prairies, they're destroying crops like nobody's business, and it's disastrous.
Oh dang, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, they can just come in and wipe out an entire crop. They're voracious eaters, and they're very skilled at avoiding humans.
Hmm.
So you won't see them, and then overnight your crop gets decimated, and then you won't see them the next day.
Well, there you
Wild
go.
hogs.
Wild hogs.
Yeah. Wild hogs!
I also just have one other thing that I wanted to talk about with Austin, and it's maybe less about Austin and more just about maybe every single event that gets put on by the DGN and the DGPT. Is, do you think that there's any value in having a bit of a preview show to preview these events, especially given that there's not a lot of information in about Austin? They invested money in having that sort of the in between show that has not been well received.
No.
Do you think there's more value in something like that?
I think so. I think especially because we don't know Austin's course, it's like especially important here. But if you've ever been to a bigger tournament, sometimes they do like the digital players meeting where you watch a YouTube video, it goes through every hole, the OBs, what to expect. If you could cut something like that down to just talking about, like I said, the course, the hole shapes, the OBs, and the specific rules for that course, take all the extra stuff that's only tournament player related out, and give me like a concise 10-minute video where I know what all the holes look like,
Whole
what
previews.
players are trying to avoid, little flyby with the drone, maybe something like that. Yeah, for this, that'd be huge.
Make it all cinematic. Hire Morgan Freeman to narrate it, and
No,
hire
Pro to narrate it. But yeah,
I don't
like,
have a deep enough voice.
Like that's the one thing I get from the Jomez practice round is it's more like sit around and talk and goof around. It takes 2 hours to watch everything, and you don't get like the real mappy kind of flyby to know what the hole really looks like. You get a guy on the tee box saying, "Oh yeah, we just want to go right after that tree." Like that's great and all, but not every shot in the tournament is going to go around there.
I'm pretty sure that was kind of the point of the practice rounds too. And
Yeah,
it was like,
it
let's
was.
get inside the head of a professional player, sorting out how they're going to play this course. And then Paul Ulibarri makes one funny joke, and then all of a sudden they're a comedy show.
Yeah, it's like comedians in cars getting coffee kind of thing now versus what a professional player would do in this situation, which is, I think, more the roots of it.
Yeah, I agree. I would like to see what you mentioned, Jesse. I think that would be fun and instructive. Maybe not for something like Waco, like you once it's been on tour a bunch of times, you sort of know all the holes. But then again, I'm going to correct myself. And if it's your first time watching that tournament, then the holes are going to be fresh, and it wouldn't be a terrible idea just to have a pass through, like 10-20 minutes.
10-20 minutes. I would say like 6 to 10 minutes. And the thing is, like, as people start to get to know these courses, the value for those people is you can break down what happened last year. You can talk about the history about the tournament. Obviously Austin, it doesn't work like that, but if we're using Waco as an example, you can talk about Valley Mondahondo's amazing throw on hole 17 as part of the breakdown. And like you mentioned, I think it brings a lot of valuable information for our new watchers. I know that my brothers are interested in watching disc golf now, and they don't know any of these tournaments. And I think, I just think there's a little bit of added value to that, especially if you can kind of make it cinematic and interesting. I don't know.
Yeah, even like our frequent commenter, Dan, who's just in it because his family's into it and he's watching his first season of disc golf. It kind of gets you set up to watch the tournament properly without having to throw a lot of like during round amenities in. You don't have to add so much mapping and highlighting when you've very clearly presented it. And the other thing I was thinking for courses that are well established, course changes. They're always changing the way the OBs are shaped.
Yes.
Oh, we took out this branch, we added these trees, whatever, for the long-time watchers like ourselves.
Yeah.
And that would get you excited because you'd be like, oh, they did that. I wonder how that would play now.
Yeah.
And then you're going to tune in. I don't know. I think there's a lot of value. I like to see those stuff from a media standpoint. So
Not to be the middle-aged guy who got into Formula One because of that Netflix series, but I'm going to be the middle-aged guy who got into Formula One because of that Netflix series. They do a really good job before the races of here's the racetrack. They give you an overhead view. They sort of 3D animate it, and then they'll take you corner by corner, being like, this is, you're going to be jamming it down super, super slow here. And this is the scene of this, famous overtake by Lewis Hamilton in 2019 or something like that. And then they'll show you a highlight of cars going through that corner, and then they'll say, and then we got a long uphill, and then this chicane is a good place, and there's DRS here, and it's like 5 minutes maybe at most before the race, but it's like it gives you context for the track that they're on.
Yeah, and you like what again? I've seen so many of these courses so many times, it doesn't mean much to me, but like showing people what's the typical play and like what's the go for it play kind of thing. Like most players will opt to lay up at 300 feet to avoid the OB, but power throwers will go blah, 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 blah.
And if you can throw a thumber, throw it over these trees.
Yeah, so that like people that haven't watched 100 times know that like, oh, this is a big risky deal. This guy's really going for it versus, oh, this is the run of the mill everyday play for everybody else.
Maybe we should do that, Andre.
Hey,
should mix that into our drone overview.
Yeah, totally. I'm game. We could do a little preview show right before we release the actual coverage, get people hyped. I think it's a good idea. I actually just going back to Waco, this just kind of jogged my memory. I believe last on our review of Las Vegas Challenge, I brought up hole 18, how it's one of my favorite hole 18s on the tour. My favorite hole 17 on tour has got to be Waco.
I am so bad for remembering holes by number.
I don't know. It's just that one, just to me, it's the only hole 17 that I can think of off the top of my head because it's just
because you just watched it.
No. Before that too, and it goes back to
dude, USDGC hole 17.
That's where I was going in my head too.
And also, isn't
but
DDO, isn't the country club at DDO also the island hole now 17?
Is that 17 now?
Isn't it?
I don't get much out of watching that tournament, so I don't watch it very often.
I don't remember. Oh no, never mind. It's not.
I thought it was like hole 6 or something.
I still think Waco is probably got to be my favorite, even over USDGC. I don't know. I like USDGC's.
You know what?
17,
hole 18 at Winthrop is also a great hole 18. It's not as pretty looking as but that's with the death putt and the water. There's a lot to like about.
There's a lot
Winthrop.
to like.
I do love that hole 17 though at Waco. It's one that like you would want to play as well, even though it looks really, really hard.
Yeah.
And it's like the first shot, it's like almost too easy for the top players. Like you should all be able to get to a landing spot there.
Mm-hmm. But some people don't. And then they have to make a decision, and decisions are what makes disc golf fun. Yeah,
risk reward decisions. Like
I'm thinking back to Paul McBeth going. He didn't do very well on his first shot. Not this past tournament. Last year's Waco, he didn't do very well on his first shot, and he went over the trees and did really well on his upshot. And like, just remember it being an incredible shot. I don't know. I love that hole.
It's nice because no matter what, even if you're in a good landing zone, you're kind of puckering on 17 on that second shot. And if there's wind as well, that's like no one plays that hole for par if they're in a good landing zone. It's also tight to try and play it for par. So you're going for it. Any condition, you're going for it. And I think it creates a lot of separation and a lot of excitement. Yeah. One of the highlights of that course, really.
And if you're throwing a four-hander, if you're left-handed, you're hanging it out over a swamp 80% of the flight of the disc if you're going to do it properly. And it sounds dumb, and people have said this, but shots like that, your brain doesn't let you do sometimes. You can line up properly. You can have a spot picked out on the horizon of exactly where you want to hang it out over that swampy lake. And when it comes down to it, your body just, nope, we're throwing it over dry land. And then you go out of bounds. It's a real thing.
Well, thinking of that, if there was wind, I might try to be pin high OB right. Because by the time you take your meter in, you're taking like a circle's edge putt for par. Yeah. If you hang it out over all that water and you don't come back in, you're just moving to the corner, and it's still scary.
if you're listening to this right now and you had no idea what we're talking about,
Yeah,
go check out some coverage.
Check out Waco coverage.
Yeah.
Just go to the last two holes.
Yeah. Of this past tournament. Drama Central. Maybe FPO and MPO. And actually last year too, because it was pretty exciting last year as well. Anyways, back, we just did a little extra mini Waco recap. Finished Austin previews. You guys want to do a little bit of discussion here?
What's the best hole 17 in the region?
In our region?
Yeah. I'm thinking hole 17s. Because I'm bad at remembering courses, but I'll remember what's here.
College.
The college 17 is like the 200-foot hyzer.
Wycliffe's interesting.
Wycliffe's a clever one. Yeah, down the hill like that. Very like speed control-y. Definitely winning in my head right now.
That one's pretty nasty.
I like Rose Hill, but it's not I wouldn't say it's my favorite. It's just that long bomber one.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's stretch in our region. I'm thinking from here to Matt in a straight line. We get Calgary, we get the Rockies, we get a bit of the East Kootenay. What's the Nordic Center hole 17?
Down a hill, backhand hyzer.
Oh yeah, that's kind of stock. It's the blind hyzer.
But it's a fun hole. I wouldn't say it's like an iconic hole or a super challenging hole, but it's a fun hole.
Yeah,
you can just lay down a mid-range and just have it go straight forever and then sort of naturally dump at the end.
Yeah, I threw a putter and an FD3 in my round there this winter. They both landed within 10 feet of each other. It's just about getting that shape.
Yeah.
But definitely not beating out Wycliffe. What's Rundle hole 17? I haven't played Rundle in a long time.
Pretty straight. It's like up a hill a little bit straight, or the alternate pin is sort of tucked in behind the trees. It goes up and left. So you can, if you really power one up there, you can park it in the green. And if you don't power it up there, you're behind trees. So
yeah.
Pretty
it's the
fun
one where
from a long location.
There's the path is on the left, right? There's a path on the left.
Path is OB on the left. So you're a lot of people are naturally skipping out of bounds on the left.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't remember any holes I've ever played is what I'm learning from this. Because I was trying to figure out.
I honestly like the Raven's Nest hole 17, not just because I birdied it my last time out there.
Hole 17 at Raven's
17 at Raven's Nest is sick. It's one of my favorite holes on the course.
Yeah, it's great.
Forgetting about the one closest to us that I probably played the most.
The one I designed and did the most work on. Actually,
hills, the elevation, different angles, different shots.
Nipica hole 17, actually, the tightest tunnel with the creek on the side.
Oh, that's
a dirty hole 17 in a tournament standpoint.
There you go.
I could do this forever. Let's do something else.
And if you'd like a dirty hole 17, get in touch at discgolfpark.com. Matt Reardon is your contact, and he can set you up with the dirtiest hole 17 you can imagine and have it mentioned on this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
discgolfpark.com.
And let us know in the comments what your favorite hole 17 is on tour and what your favorite hole 17 is in general. We'd love to hear about that.
And if someone can think of what either the hole 17s are at Rudy's or what 17 at WJ Homestead or what hole 17 is at literally any course in Southern Alberta.
So I was just looking at them. Hole 17 at Sundry West is the one where you're sort of down in the gully and you throw up to the hill on top of a plateau, and you need to really push like a high-speed driver straight.
And it's trees in the back, backed by trees.
Yeah. And it's a pretty good rip.
If you keep walking straight, you go to hole 10.
If I remember what hole 10 was, that would help a lot.
All right. Okay, work backwards from hole 18.
Hole 18 is the big par 4 where there's a circle OB on the hill.
Yeah, you go over the road.
In the middle of the fairway.
And you walk through a bunch of trees to get to it.
Yeah. I don't believe
And behind that, it's after you throw downhill on that sort of shorter par 3. It's like a little open circle. It's just a straight downhill, usually a mid or a putter. And then you go around the corner and then you're throwing back up the hill. And it's a bit of a kind of tight tunnel off the tee. You got to throw up a hill with something flippy enough to get there. No,
I definitely remember what 16 is, that shorter downhill one.
Yes.
And then my
Just
brain goes to
blanking on
18.
Okay,
17
and then
doesn't
hole
exist.
17, we can cut all this out. This is boring.
No.
Hole 17
in.
east is the one where you're hyzering it around a corner and trying not to throw it into the little house that's on the property there.
Yeah. Okay. I remember. Is that 17
That's
or
a-
18?
That's 17.
What's 18 on that hole, on that course? Because I know that one.
A shared tee pad downhill through the tunnel.
Oh yeah, that's the famous one with the homemade basket, and yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Okay, I know that hole 17. That's not winning.
No, I'd say Raven's Nest of all the ones that I've played in Western Canada.
Wow, like Western Canada. That's now we have to figure out what hole 17 at Raptors Knoll is, and all sorts of other places.
It's the Raptors Knoll 17 is kind of a boring one.
Oh, is that
It's
the one
like-
with the mounds?
It's got some mounds and it's just a big long fairway.
I thought that was the one that had like the big mounds surrounding the basket, like circle's edge everywhere, and you walk off to the left to play. Or have I got my?
It's you sort of tee off and it's just one very, very long, very, very straight hole with trees intermittently.
Got nothing.
Yeah.
Again, I got 18 figured out. I just don't know how to get there.
And Raptors Knoll is, in my top 5 courses I've ever played all time. So no shade being thrown here at Raptors Knoll, but your hole 17 isn't the iconic hole.
I've learned I have a memory like a sieve.
You'll remember. I think when you walk up to the course, that's when you remember the holes. You start playing a couple, and you're like, "Oh yeah, this hole."
That's the one with the thing that does the thing.
Oh.
Yeah, Ben and Casey, when we talk about our rounds afterwards, always get mad at me because I'm always going like, well, mad is a stretch, but like, what'd you throw in 12? What's 12? You know, the one with this? And I'll remember it from like a geographical feature. But apparently I black out between 1 and 18 when it comes to statistics, numbers, anything.
Well, maybe you're like me, and I just like as soon as I throw a bad shot, I just forget about it.
That's why I don't remember any of the holes. Get out of here. Thanks, pal.
I just have entire
I had
weekends
to get
blocked
that
out of
one
my
out there.
memory.
Yeah.
All right. Why don't we get into a little discussion here? Speaking of Falcon's flight or Aspen Meadows, we had one Thomas Kuhn commented on one of our Patreon videos about a topic that he thought would be a good discussion. And Matt, do you want to give us the gist of what the comment was?
Yeah. So thanks for reaching out, Thomas. He says that he has a topic for us fine gentlemen. I think that's probably just Andre and I. It regards added cash and how that is split between divisions. For example, why would age-protected pros, so we're talking about the mixed pro 40, mixed pro 50 and above, mixed female 60 and above, 40 and above, etc. The age-protected pros get any for a tournament. Let's say he made $650 in MPO, the open division. But had he signed up for the MP40, the mixed 40 division, and shot the exact same score, he would have made $1,200. It doesn't really make sense to me and forced me to sign up for bigger events in MP40. Also, why isn't the money split evenly among men's and ladies, or mixed and ladies? I assume it is based on PDGA guidelines. My suggestion would be to split the money evenly for mixed and women's divisions and keep it to MPO and FPO. Keep up the good work, and remember to keep up the Canadian content.
Well, there you go. That's the gist of it.
Equal split mixed division and female divisions, and have it concentrated only in the open divisions.
I'll take what I think I know about this as the total added cash is distributed by players in pro divisions. The situation with Falcon's flight that he's bringing up happens quite specifically because MP40 there was almost as well served as MPO. I think we said something like 50 players versus 58 players or something like that.
Yeah. It was
Very,
like
very
32
tight.
to 46, I think, last year.
Yeah. So the amount of the added cash portion is being allotted very similarly between those two divisions, plus all pro cash that's levied from signups goes into and stays in the division where those players are registered. So you got
on a per player basis.
On a per player basis, exactly. So let's say round numbers, we've got $10,000 added cash. We have 10 players in MPO and 10 in MP40. The split is exactly the same. $5,000 of the added cash goes to each division. No problem. That tournament specifically has that issue. Typically, MP40 is much less registered than MPO.
That was an unusually well attended MP40 division. I remember when I was signing up, I was like, well, yeah, no brainer. I'm going to sign up for MP40.
Yeah. So something like as a player, you look at that, and if you're in, you need to make the money. There's a tactical decision to where you're going to sign up. Typically, a lot of players will bump to MP40 for a better chance to win so that they get more cash. But that's also because the field is easier, not necessarily because there's that much cash there. You're just going to take the top spot instead of the 10th spot and get your money that way. With the FPO thing, it's the same situation. If you evenly split the money added, there's 100 people in MPO in this fantasy scenario, and there's 10 in FPO. I think I might have said FPO twice. 100 in MPO, 10 in FPO, $20,000 added cash. You put 10,000 to each one.
You can have.
You're looking at $100 per player added cash for the men, and you're looking at $1,000 added cash for the women, and then that gets distributed based on placing. For the, I think it's 40% payouts presently for PDJ. That's changed a couple times in the last decade. My brain gets fuzzy. You're looking at like a $3,000 payout for FPO, and you're looking at a $4,000 payout or something like that for MPO because of the extra player fees levied. But you have to beat 99 players in one, and then you have to beat 9 in the other. I get that more cash to FPO helps promote people playing in it. But
yeah, it'd be nice if there was a way to add some added cash to some of the underserved divisions, mostly the female divisions, to get more women into the sport, because it's just, there's such a great opportunity for female athletes to compete at the very highest level in disc golf on a professional level. But it's, it's probably hard to see that. If you sign up, you get really good on your local course, you sign up for your local C tier and FPO and you win, great. But, you win $160, maybe $200. And you're like, well, this is something I'm going to dedicate a bunch of time to. Like, probably not. It'd be nice if there was a way to somehow encourage women a little bit just by having some, enticing.
So I was going to say there is. The PDJ event manager shows that you can have specific cash prizing for dedicated to specific divisions only. But I believe there's a stipulation around that where it almost like it doesn't count as your added cash for tiering or like something because it's not broken out that way.
Not according to PDGA guidelines.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just to give a little background, Jesse has been the TD for numerous events. I've TD'd a couple events. Matt, I don't know. Have you TD'd many events?
I assistant TD'd one event.
Nice. So there is some background knowledge to this, and the tournament central, or the sort of back end that Jesse's referring to, is as a TD, when you sign up an event, you have access to this sort of back end. And it's not like we are manually putting in who gets what money and et cetera, et cetera. There are options to sort of play with the numbers if you need to. But for the most part, PDGA just figures this stuff all out, and it's just kind of like you said, it distributes it evenly. Obviously, you get situations where in the Disc Golf Pro Tour, for example, if there are larger payouts, they don't necessarily work out to being like a 50-50 split, but they try to like make it as close to that as they can. And then I just wanted to touch on, this scenario that Thomas brought up is the amount, and to like put it very plainly, the amount that was available in MP40 would have been a lot less if there was less players. And so then, you make that jump to MP40 and all of a sudden you're competing for less money. So like you said, that was a specific event that didn't have, the same. Yeah, I don't know. Don't want to repeat what we've all said.
Yeah,
but.
just specific circumstances leading to that one. And one final thing when I was thinking of that, I think if you mess with the pricing enough in the PDGA Event Manager, it might disqualify you from ratings. It might make it an X tier if you have unique pricing situations, which is typically reserved for courses that don't have approved targets or like tone tournaments or like
Or
USDGC
throwing
playing
a
stroke
pilot
conditions.
or
Weird stuff that you still want to have show up on the website. Yeah, I'm almost certain that if you really mess with the pricing enough, they'll probably slap you to a XC tier or XB tier or whatever instead of a regular rated tournament.
Yeah. It's a really interesting thing. And it is one of the cool things about disc golf is that you can be a professional competitive athlete. You're not going to make a full-time living playing MP40. I think even if you're the best MP40 player on the planet, it's probably not quite a full-time living if you're winning most of the events. But you can be a competitive athlete in your 40s, in your 50s, in your 60s, in your 70s, in your 80s. I think the most decorated world champion in our sport has won most of his world championships in his 80s. So that's to me always been one of the coolest things about disc golf is it sets up a competitive division where competition is meaningful for people of all ages.
Yeah.
I think, and just if we're going to talk about just age-protected disc golf in general, it's a great thing because like when you hit that 40 mark, your body's not quite the same as it used to be. And you see some of these guys that are, I'm not there, but Matt might know something about this.
I have no idea, Jesse.
But it lets you...
You think you know, but you don't know.
Yeah, right? Like a guy like a Philo Brathwaite, let's say, who's kind of fallen off being a truly competitive pro player, is now 40, and he's back in a top 10 kind of position where he's competitive again. He can continue his career. Any dejected feelings you've got about coming 110th at the whatever DGPT event can be behind you if you enjoy that competitive aspect more than just saying that I'm still playing the highest division, et cetera, et cetera.
And you get to play with your friends instead of the 17-year-olds that can throw 700 feet.
Yeah, right.
It's just, that's one of my favorite things about playing MP40. It's just like, I like the people in that division.
Thanks.
As much as I liked the people in the previous divisions that I played in. It's very equal in that sense.
Yeah. No, there's something to be said for that too. I'm sure, especially as you start aging more and more, when you're in an MP60 age, you really don't want to spend 3 hours of your day with 20-year-olds talking about TikTok dances or whatever they talk about now.
Yeah.
All right. Just to kind of throw a wrench into this whole conversation.
Nobody
we just
talks
had.
about TikTok. You just do TikTok dances. You don't talk
I don't
about
have TikTok, man.
The first rule of TikTok dancing is
you don't talk about TikTok dancing.
Yeah. Sorry, Andre.
To throw a wrench into everything we just talked about.
Yeah.
Kayla Visca wins the Memorial with a -30. His prize money, $2,400.
Mm-hmm.
The pool, 39 people.
Mm-hmm.
Mixed professional open, 98 contestants. A neg 30 would have tied him for 8th, which was Drew Gibson, and he only won $1,200.
So what's the wrench? The score doesn't have anything to do with the placement.
No, but the idea is if this is kind of what Thomas is talking about. He scored the same amount in MPO, and instead of that pushed him, like he could have played an MPO and won more money.
That's just a player on the day thing, though. It just happens that way. There are tournaments where MP40 wouldn't break into the top 50 with their score, and they end up, obviously, instead of not cashing, making a bunch of money. There's other times homeboy and MP40 pops off, would have won the whole tournament.
Well, and that's the whole point of it being an age protected division. If you're in your 40s, you have a better chance at winning more money in a different division because you qualify for that. So if I guess to sort of sum this all up is if money is the why you're playing disc golf, if that's the reason that you're playing disc golf, and you know, if you
Step
want
up to that old man division.
jump up to the division.
To find a different job.
Yeah.
But but if you're serious about becoming a professional disc golfer, play against the best players.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
for
only
sure.
get better by playing against the best players.
Yeah.
Thomas Kuhn, if you haven't watched him on the spring runoff coverage, check it out. He doesn't. I was surprised when I found out he was an MP40 eligible player.
100%. And actually, I'd be really curious to know what Thomas's plan is going forward. If he is looking to play more MP40 divisions, or if he wants to keep cutting his teeth in MPO. I feel like there's more to beating people in MPO than there is to beating in MP40.
Yeah,
I think in
right?
Canada specifically, but like we've talked about, MP40 in the States is a
Unreal.
starting to become really hot when guys like you said, like Kale are people that are playing MP40. What is the guy, 1030, maybe higher?
1030.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
there's
1030.
serious MP40 golf to be played in the States. Canada lacking a little bit, but I could see him playing MP40 at A tier and above in Canada, playing MPO everywhere else.
Mhm.
There was 7 guys rated over 1,000 at that Memorial tournament in MP40.
Yeah. No, MP40 is no joke at big tournaments.
But I selfishly hope we get to see Thomas Kuhn on more coverage because, I guarantee you we're going to see Thomas Kuhn on more coverage. No spoilers,
Yes.
but Smoothie Casual Kuhn will be back.
There you have it. You heard it here first. All right, guys. I don't have much else for this episode. I don't know if you guys got anything else you want to talk about. Hopefully we answered your question, Thomas, or hopefully we discussed it enough, and we'd love to hear your opinion even further if you want to give us a shout out. So, yeah.
Unless you think we're wrong. We have very thin skins.
Yes.
I got one for my own weird question of the day. Someone can write this in the comments. Ben Loggins, when he registered for, and I know he listens to this, so he can maybe explain it. His PayPal notes when he registered for Raven's Nest, so I get to see these things because I was TD. His notes, one word, Flunderdun. Anyone in the comments, tell me what that means. I think it just made up Ben language, but the syllables and the way it worked, it had all the structure and requirements of a real word. But I do not believe this is a real word, and I have done my best not to look it up because I wanted to ask him in person. But if you guys can give me help for the next time I see him, let me know.
All right. There you have it. I'm sure he'll let you know in the comments, or he'll keep it a mystery.
I know. Knowing Ben, this is now a lifelong mystery.
Yes.
Well, I think I'm done talking about it, so
Yeah, there you go.
I feel completely flunderdone by that word.
maybe that's
I'm
just
just totally
a new
fluttered on
podcast
it.
word. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys got nothing else, Matt, would you do the honors?
From all of us here at Park Pro, Jesse, welcome back. Good to
Thank
see
you.
you.